So Stephen Roach, it's a short burst for Stephen. He prefers a longer test. And this is going to be maybe a top 15 finish for Roach as he comes up, and he gets top 13. Now, teammate and friend, Claudio Chiappucci, King of the Mountains last year in the Giro d'Italia. This rider would have been among the greats of world cycling if it hadn't been for one Miguel Indurain, because he's always stopped him claiming the top position in the big tours. He's underway, and here's the man that prevents him from that great moments. Miguel Indurain, last to go, and number one on his bike frame as the winner of the Tour of Italy. The first ever Spanish winner, and indeed, of course, the only Spanish winner of the Tour of Italy last year. Now trying to defend his championship. He's on the road as Chiappucci comes to the finish. Let's have a look what sort of time we can expect now from Chiappucci. The time to beat is a good one. Eddie Seigneur of France, the new French professional, has done 10:43.1, reliving his great team time trialling days as an amateur. And Chiappucci is on a good time for him. Second best time, 10:49.2, just 6 seconds slower than Seigneur. And now we're looking at Maurizio Fondries making his start, who's having a tremendous season, without doubt his finest season since he turned professional in 1987, and then went on to controversially win the World Championship when Steve Bauer and Claudio Coquillon fought it out quite literally just yards from the finish. And this is a very, very good time indeed. He's leading at the checks. Can you believe this? He's ahead of Miguel Indurain, Maurizio Fondries. He's had such a wonderful start to the year. He won Tirreno Adriatico, he won the stage of the Ruta del Sol, Milan San Remo was his, the Flèche Wallonne was his, and look at Indurain now as he comes to the finish. Indurain challenging now Seigneur's time of 10:43. He's going to beat that. That's to be expected, I think. Miguel Indurain has proved himself to be virtually unbeaten in the time trials, and he's holding that right now. 2.6 seconds better than Eddie Seigneur. And now Fondries, they're saying he is quicker at the checkpoints, and this will really be a surprise if he comes home with the best time. As Maurizio is heading for the line, he's a completely changed man this year. Gianni Bugno, the world champion, out on the road. And meanwhile, at the start house, the leader this morning, after the stage victory, Moreno Argentin, waiting for the start. His right is the Maglia Rosa. And Argentine is underway. Not the best of time trials. He might be inspired today, though. Now he's the race leader for the first time ever in the Tour of Italy. Here's Fondries further along the road, still looking very, very smooth indeed and full of fight. He's never, in fact, won a time trial since he turned professional 5-6 years ago now. But he's going to run, he's going to win, he's going to beat this time. Indurain is going to be bettered, and look at that, 2.1 seconds better over 9 kilometres. That really is a turn-up for the book. Fondries now is top of the leaderboard. Bugno, who is a good time trialist, but he rarely beats Miguel Indurain. He's not going to do it again this time. He's a little bit down the pan, but Argentin, fourth time of Bugno, is now fifth of Chiappucci. So Argentin has done a good ride for him, 10 seconds slower than the leader. And this is Greg LeMond coming home. But LeMond is going to be maybe top 20 here. He's a little bit down off the pace. He's not finding the sort of form that has taken him to the top in the short bursts in the Tour de France over years gone by. He's still struggling to find the finesse that he once had. Difficult days for Greg LeMond. Outside, 28 seconds off the pace for him. And Andy Hampson also. If only he could time trial, he would win these stage races so much more easily, or at least stay among the leaders. He's not a good time trialist, and Hampson again is not finding the time trial to his liking. Dropping right out here. He's going to be into the 70s by the time he gets to the line, as Andy Hampson finishes 72nd. But the surprise of the day, no doubt about it, Maurizio Fondries gets his first time trial win as a professional and beats Miguel Indurain. Stephen Roach, 25th in the time trial, but is it his last race?
Well, you know, it's now 13 years on the road, so it's not getting any easier. And like I've always, the last couple of years, I've had a lot of trouble with my knee, my back, and everything like that. It's taken a lot of stick out of my morally. It's taken that out of me. So now I'd like to just kind of have a good season this year, finishing well up in the Giro and the Tour, and then call it a day.
The day Roach retires will be a sad day for world cycling. He's been great. Moreno Argentin, though, is now the leader of the Giro d'Italia for the first time in his 13-year career, as the riders all say goodbye now to the island of Elba. Now here's a Napoleonism for you. Able was I, ere I saw Elba. If you say it backwards, it'll say the same thing. It's a palindrome. And so on to the second stage of 229 kilometres from Grosseto to Rieti. Just a small climb, the Castelfranco climb near the end, bringing the riders up to over 600 metres. It should be the sort of finish for the sprinters, although they might find that the climb at the end a little bit of a problem. Miguel Indurain has made a perfect start, just lying off the lead there in third place. He must be a little bit surprised, though, at having been beaten in the time trial. And this is an attack by Michele Capolino, who comes from the Navigare team. And it's 37 kilometres from the finish. Well, the Italians will all take their chances here. They grossly outnumber the foreign entry, as they always do. Race in excess of 3,700 kilometres. Moreno Argentin looking a little bit concerned here and talking to his Mejia team, and now wants a little bit more action out. I think he doesn't want to lose that jersey. He sees himself holding it for the first 2 weeks of this race if he can, although he's got one long time trial to come, which might well see it swing towards Indurain. But this is a big moment now for Moreno, proving to the Tifosi that he's really back in a big way. At 32 years of age, he's been a pro for 13 seasons. It's a long time to stay professional. There's Capolino. But he's not going to work. As we head on to the Castelfranco climb, the old legs have given out, and it's back into the complete field here. And it is now Argentine's team who's got control of the head of the race. Well, when you have the leader on your squad, you've got to do most of the work. The rainbow jersey of world champion worn by Gianni Bugno down there, and just sitting behind him is Prudencia Indurain, not Miguel, because brother Prudencia is riding. And now an attack by Claudio Chiappucci. Well, this is the gadfly of world cycling. He attacks whenever he senses a drop in the pace, but Bugno is right on him here, and it's Indurain as well who's got him. So the big three over previous tours are now at the head of the race, and Luc Leblanc, the champion of France, was also there. This is now Franco Coccioli, who has won the Tour of Italy before, and now trying a lone attack. This constant attacking quite often can develop a breakaway. As they head up towards the Castelfranco climb. And this is one of the small teams, the Mappe riders, coming up, and it looks as though it might well be Della Santa who's caught him up. Stefano Della Santa, I think it was, who's latched on to the back. So we've got two riders in front, but the whole line is after them now. As they go over the top of the climb, they're on the way down. It's all downhill towards the finish. And now we're getting up to some reasonable speed here as they chase down towards the line at Rieti. And this is Bruno Kengialta in the lead. And look at this, Miguel Indurain has gone for it. Now that is unusual. Indurain really won't be thinking of Kengialta as a dangerous rival for a prospective win in the Giro d'Italia. Kengialta's stage win indeed in the Tour de France in the past. But this looks as though it's a show of defiance by Indurain. He wants to remind the rest that he is not just going to sit back and wait for the time trials. He's gone again. Smarting perhaps at losing to Fondriest in that short time trial yesterday. And now just 4 kilometres to go to the line. And inside 3 kilometres to go now, and they've swept them up indeed, so they wouldn't allow Indurain to go away like that. Indurain, too much of a strong man in the time trials to gain time in the road races would really be the end for the rest of the ride. It's going to be a sprint finish now. It's taken a little while to bring them all together, but they've come together now. And after 5 hours and 52 minutes, it looks like it's going to be a battle of the sprinters now. Little Adriano Baffi is coming through, and on the line it's going to be Baffi. Baffi takes it on the inside. Marco Saligari was second. It looked as though Dmitry Konishev was third. Overall, though, Argentin had the day he wanted. Retained his 36-second advantage over Fondriest, 38 over Indurain. Saligari, who scored second place there, up to fourth. So we go on, 157 kilometres today for the third stage, which takes them down to Rieti de Scano. And Maurizio Fondriest, having made a wonderful start. Not so, of course, for Gianni Bugno, but he doesn't look too unhappy, does he? The man who won the race back in 1990. And the man that won it last year, first Spanish rider ever, Miguel Indurain, looking a little bit pensive, but happy with the way the race has gone so far. These are the early days, of course. And two great friends back on the team when Roach won the Tour of Italy in 1987. Claudio Chiappucci, now the star of the team. And the riders now facing up to the 151 kilometres to Scano. Again, it's hot and humid weather conditions here. And this is Mario Chiesa, who started the attack at the front. And Fabio Roscioli, who's never won a race as a professional, by the way. But it doesn't stop him trying. He's a very strong domestique, a team rider. And Carrera have got both riders clear, which is rather unusual, but they really are a strong team. And the race now, 32 kilometres from the finish here, just passed through the village of Sulmona. And the Mechia riders are now marking. That's Luc Leblanc, who's come on to the back as well. Ugrumov is the Mechia rider who's come up here. The gap is 30 seconds. And the Kelme rider who latched on in the green shorts there is Herman Buenajara. It's Buenajara who's setting the pace into the tunnel. Let's hope they come out the other side. Stunning scenery. The Tour of Italy now makes its way toward the finish in Scano. This little group of four riders. Luc Leblanc stands out well, number 3 in line in the tricolor jersey as champion of France. He'll be defending that title in a couple of weeks. And surprisingly, it is the Banesto riders here who are having to take up the chase. Now, you would normally expect to see Argentine with his men at the front, but he's got a man in that breakaway in Peter Ugrumov, a rider who climbs very well, by the way. There he is sitting at the back, number 132, 10 kilometres to go to the finish. And Ugrumov is the sort of rider, you know, could spring a surprise. And Argentine is now forcing Indurain's team to chase. Luc Leblanc is up here as well. And the other rider here, by the way, is Carlos Hernandez, former champion of Spain, a couple of years back now. And that's the sort of gap they've got. Two riders who were dropped from that league group. In fact, they're coming up. That is Stephen Roach there, who's coming up, and he's bringing along one of the riders from the San Roman, I think it is, from the Indurain's team, Francisco San Roman. So those two are chasing, and the gap is 25 seconds at Maglia Rosa group. So the leading group is 25 seconds. That's Argentine's bunch, with Roach and San Roman in between. And if we look up to the top of the field there, they're not too far behind. These two are coming back. Oh, we're heading up toward Villa Largo now. And this, we're looking at Roach, sitting at the back doing no work at all, and along for the ride here, San Roman. 7.4 kilometres to go. It's a long, steady climb, this. It's the sort of climb that Stephen Roach likes as they come up towards the leaders, and they've got them. Roach is immediately going through to the front to see what sort of reaction he gets. Well, Ugrumov is going with him. Ugrumov now trying to profit from this attack as the main field begins to fragment on the climb, especially at the back there. A lot of steady tempo riding being done. They're trying to limit the losses of that breakaway group, and it's a long, long climb. Passing around the edge of Scano Lake. And this little group is swelling at the front. Cocchioli has got across here now. And I think Enrico Zainer is here from the Mercatoni team. That's him coming up on the outside. Roberto Conti from Ariostia is up here. Valerio Taballi, who's pulled out a couple of good stage wins in the Tour de France in years gone by, usually on his own. But the whole field is closing down. So the steady tempo riding, largely done by Indurain's Banesto team, has closed this. Riders have tried to sprint off the front and escaped across the top and maybe snatched the stage win. This is Franco Coccioli at the front. But he's in second place now. He's slipped back one. And ride number 53 is Roberto Conti, a very good climber who will be looking forward to our trip through the Dolomites. And Luc Leblanc very prominent here all day today. Number 66 is Carlos Hernandez, sitting at the back, and we're lining up for the finish here. I don't think they're going to catch them now. Now, wouldn't it be great if Roche could pull it off, but Ugrimov has got the lead. Ugrimov has got the lead. He's the man that's been the surprise member of the breakaway, and the Mekir team have worked well to keep him up there, and he's going to do it. So that's a great win for Peter Ugrimov, and a bonus for Argentine's Mekir team, because Ugrimov is now up into second place overall, 26 seconds behind his teammate. So the Mekir team have got the top 2 slots overall. 179 kilometres, stage number 4 from Scano to Marquinizda. All downhill away from the Apennines, although the riders may not agree with it. And the big field today early on has caused quite a few problems. Among the fallers, Greg LeMond, who's crashed twice, Stephen Roach, who's crashed, and indeed the GAN team having an unhappy day, because Eddie Seigneur and Laurent Bezo have also gone down for the GAN team. They've had a long day today chasing at the back. This is an attack here by Eduardo Chozas we're looking at. The main field, although they know Chozas is a great lone expert and has won stages with his lone attacks, he's not going to challenge for the overall lead at the moment. And the Artitach team manager here having a word with Eduardo. Still 35 kilometres to go to the finish. Chozas out in front. He's been out there now for some 45 kilometres today. And the tempo nice and steady, 29 kilometres left to go. The last king of the mountains as they descend now towards the finish, not too far above sea level. And there he is on the right, and they've wiped him up. 50 kilometres he's out in front. And now the field again has come together, and the sprinters are going to try and have their day. 25 kilometres to go to the finish. And it looks like an attack there from Gianni Bugno. Well, this is a cheeky move by the world champion. Winner of the Giro d'Italia back in 1990, and that's when he shot to become world number 1. He led from start to finish, and those were the great days for him. But now he doesn't have that confidence this year. He doesn't seem to get things quite straight, mentally more than physically. And again, he's seen the field react, and he's come back into the group. Jojo Ferlin has gone off the front now, former teammate of Bugno and a classic winner in Belgium. The Ariostia team, I think they've lost the leader in Argentine this year, but they're still attacking him almost as if by a vengeance. But the field have got Ferlin in the sights. They're holding him right there. Just about 6 kilometres to go now as the riders line up for the finish. There's Ferlin back in the pack on the right. And this has brought the Mercatoni Uno riders back into play now for Adriano Baffi, the sprinter, who's having a good tour so far. And then now they've got the men right on the front here. But they'll have to watch out because they've got the Gatorade boys up there as well. And look at that man on the right, that's Indurain, who was right up there. Took a look over his shoulder. He's peeled away to stay out of the battle of the sprinters as they take themselves on now head-to-head. And it's Fabriano Baldato here in the centre and Manzoni of Gatorade. And it looks as though Baffi is out of this one because right on the line, Baldato gets it. Mario Manzoni is second. Leone was third. Baffi, in fact, only finishing 5th. Overall, no change, and Ugrimov stays in second place. Fondriest, Indurain, Sagliari in that order. 212 kilometres now, the 5th stage from Paestum to Termi Luigiani. And this is a town famous for its Greek colonies of years gone by, magnificent temples that were built more than 2,500 years ago. They were in fact overgrown and forgotten for 1,000 years until the King of Naples decided to build a road across the plain. And this is a sight of pure courage from this man here who rides his bike every year to the Tour of Italy to see the riders. A tremendous achievement. The riders back on the road. It was a quiet start to the day, but they're beginning to step up the pace a little bit now. Heading up towards the only climb of the day of note. It's coming just before the 12-kilometre point. It's in Trero. And there's still been a little bit of action, but the attacks all day have been caught. Bjorn Ries has been in the action all day, had a breakaway early on, so too did Aldag of the Telecom team, and Andy Hampson was in the early move, but he's been swept up as well. And now at 7 kilometres to go, it looks like we're starting an attack. Dmitry Konishev, who's trying to go clear. He too has also been testing the water today. Finally certainly got away from the TDM team, which he was very unhappy riding with. He didn't seem to get on with the manager of that team, Case Priem, but now he rides for the Jolly team. You may remember him for winning the last stage in the Tour de France, the year that Jamaluddin Abdul-Jafarov went down with such a collision on the barriers 2 years ago. The man that snatched the honours, rather surprising for us too. That was his second stage in that year too, in the Tour de France. And now on this very, very technical descent, he's holding on. Looks as Stefano Della Santa has come up then, and Flavio Gipponi. 3 riders now racing down to Vigiani. I'll tell you, Konishev will take some beating. He's just 3 over a minute for the sprint. Mayfield are very far off the back wheels either. They're very, very close indeed. It looks as though Adriano Bacci is going to be robbed of a possible sprint win. So too Baldato, because these 3 are still clear. Dmitry Konishev, who really has been the man to spearhead the Russian appearances at the professional level of world cycling. You may remember when Greg LeMond won the world title in Chambéry, Konishev was up there too. 2 kilometres to go. And it's Konishev who made the breakaway and seems to be left to be doing most of the work. Flavio Gipponi, who is the Bertoni Uno rider at the back of that line. Della Santa, Mapai team, is the other rider. And look at this, they're right on them now, and they're gambling. Konishev has got himself into second place, which is where he wants to be. Stefano Della Santa is leading up towards the lines. It's a very slight incline, this, but the field are coming down very, very quickly behind them. Very, very quickly indeed, but Konishev has gone. Della Santa almost sat up but thought it's worth going again. He gets second, but Konishev gets the victory. Della Santa is second, Gipponi is third, and almost a collision there on the line. And that was the fast-finishing Maurizio Fondriest, but it wasn't fast enough to beat Dmitry Konishev. The effort showing on his face, and he gets the stage victory in the Giro d'Italia. There's no doubt who the happy man is so far, though. Moreno Argentin is keeping his lead, everything working out just fine for him. Konishev winning the stage by 2 seconds. Gipponi was third. Fondriest it was fourth. Luc Leblanc fifth. Giorgio Furlan, who attacked, he finished in 5th place. Still that 26 seconds margin to Ugrimov, 35 seconds to Fondriest for Moreno Argentin. So to the 6th stage, 130 kilometres. The riders now from Villafranca Terina to Messina. We're heading now down towards the bottom end of the boot of Italy before we nip across onto the Isles of Sicily. This is a very, very beautiful place, as is all of the places down in the far south of Italy, as we go into now the Sicilian influence of the country. And of the 180 riders who set off from Porto Azzurro at the start of the Giro, 171 are still surviving here on the stage to bring them to Messina. 3 days they're facing now on the beautiful island of Sicily. And to get between the towns, well, if you're a member of the Festina team registered in Andorra, the one of the smallest